You ready?
On record.
Announcement is made that adequate notice of this meeting has been given, and it is being conducted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 et sec of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Please call the roll, Nora.
Mr. Berkowitz.
Here.
Mr. Jaskowitz.
Here.
Mr. Kaplan.
Present.
Ms. Snyder. Here. Mr. Willand.
Here.
Chairman Ira Kane. We
Present.
also have our board planner, Mr. Chadwick. Our board
Present.
engineer, Mr. Holloway. Our board attorney, Mr. King.
Present.
We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How we doing, Chief? Oh, but this is the golden years?
We got up.
Yeah.
There's some grimaces out there.
Oh, dear. Okay,
Every day.
at this point, is there any member of the public that has any business to be brought to this board that is not on this evening's agenda? I hear none and see none. We have some resolutions here.
Just one.
One resolution.
That's what they're on.
Everyone here can
resolution.
vote.
Who can vote?
Everyone who's here.
Everyone who's here. Will someone, move the resolution?
It's a resolution to withdraw.
A resolution to withdraw.
Yes.
Second, Jaskowitz.
Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Kaplan.
Yes.
Snyder. Yes. Willand.
Yes.
Ira Kane.
Yes. Okay, now, the application 2171, Pudding Stone Developers, is there anybody here for that, application tonight? Okay. It's being carried to, July
19th.
19th, and the meeting will be at Parsippany Hills High School.
With all extensions, no further
I think you
notice.
already did through, oh, yeah,
I was just going to confirm that we're granting on that applications all extensions through the end of July.
fine. And, we do not have to notice, right, Nora?
No, they
No.
do not have to notice,
Okay.
and the
So
meeting
if
starts
you want to
at
tell your
7:30.
neighbors and friends, because it's not going to be published anywhere, this is how we give the notice. Okay? Do I have a motion to carry the case to July 17th? Without further notice and without extension? 19th?
July 19th.
July 19th,
7:30 now?
7:30.
7:30 to 10,
At Parsippany Hills High School.
There- All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that's going to be a fun evening. Okay, next case is application 2303, Vanessa Del Moro and Christian Stevens. C variance to construct a one-story addition and landing and stairs. Oh,
Good evening, Mark. It's Coleman, attorney for the town.
Good evening.
Are both, going to testify?
Mr. Stevens and his father, Mr. Stevens, is going to be.
Okay, to Mr. Steven, is he an expert?
Yeah.
He's the builder.
You're the builder,
Yeah, I'm not contractor.
but you're not an engineer or anything? So if you do want to raise your right hands, you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board's true self you got?
Yes.
And you're, Christopher Stevens, Christian, and you're
I'm Robert, please.
Robert? Oh, thank you.
Okay, you can be seated. Just use the microphones when you testify, okay?
I'm
So-
sorry, can I get the attorney's last name?
Skolnick, S-K-O-L-N-I-C-K.
Okay, thank you.
So we need a side yard. Existing is 5.9 feet, 6 is allowed, and 5.9 is proposed. We have a building coverage currently 23.14, allowed 20, we're proposing 29.51, and impervious coverage 55.66, allowed is 40, and proposed is 57.05. You have a lot in R4 zone.
Standard size.
What's that?
Standard size.
Standard, it's what,
Actually, a little bigger than
yeah, so you've got a lot that meets the minimum lot requirements for that zone. 6,000, you've got 66. So you may proceed.
Okay. Mr. Stevens, can you explain the nature of your lot and what you plan on doing?
So we're planning on doing a 20 by 20 addition with 12-foot ceilings and 4 skylights all around. It's going to be like a living room area because we believe the living room in the existing house is a little bit small. We just want to grow it a little bit for the family.
In terms of, what is behind you in terms of, would you be impacting anybody in the rear?
No,
What is behind the property?
it's like marshlands.
Okay. Have you discussed this at all with your neighbors?
I believe the city sent out notice to the,
But you don't have any personal conversation with your
no,
neighbors? How close is your, if I'm looking at the drawing to your right, how
Mhm.
close is your next door neighbor's house?
about 20 feet,
20
maybe
feet.
30.
To your knowledge, have they had any complaints about water issues?
No.
Is there a letter from the engineer here?
They're showing the drywall.
Yes, there is.
Yes,
Is there any
is.
landscaping or fencing around your backyard?
Yes.
Can you describe it? What do you,
There's like 2 trees in the backyard and a fence that goes all around
the backyard?
the backyard
Your
and on the
fence,
side of it.
neighbors,
What was that?
is it yours or your neighbor's?
It's mine, yes.
It's yours. What's it made of?
What was that?
What is it made of?
Chain.
Chain link fence. Is there any shrubbery or anything along there, or is it just open with a chain link fence?
Yeah, it's just open chain.
Have you had an opportunity to review the township engineer's letter?
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen it? Have you seen it?
No.
They should be sending it out to you. Here,
You sent it out to her?
no, the engineering department should be sending it.
Should be sending them out.
Just says copy to John.
Yes. Okay, so, going through this letter, and I know you haven't seen it yet, so, I'll go slow. Property is located in a floodplain. The proposed improvements require a permit from NJDEP. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Okay. The proposed improvements are considered a substantial improvement if the cost of the addition and other proposed improvements exceeds 50% of the assessed value of the house. If it is a substantial improvement, the entire house will need to be brought into compliance with NJDEP flood hazard regulations. It's not going to be more than 50% of the existing house, is it?
No.
No, okay. Proposed impervious coverage exceeds the permitted by the zone by about 1,125 square feet. This significantly increases stormwater runoff from the property. The applicant is required to mitigate the increase of stormwater runoff and can do so with dry wells or other water management measures. Is this built into your plans?
Yeah.
It is, okay, thank you.
Who designed the drywall?
The drywall?
Yeah, who decided what size it was to be?
The engineer did.
Okay?
Okay? We don't have any. Oh, yes, we do. Structural engineer.
Okay, the next thing says that, if you're using dry wells, an infiltration test must be performed to identify soil types and percolation rate in the area of the proposed dry well. So you should read that.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, any approval that we grant is gonna be subject to the conditions in Justin Liz's, memo here. All underground roof leader pipes that will be discharging into seepage pits thus shall be constructed with perforated pipe and placed in a stone bed. I'm assuming you're gonna do that. The lot is relatively flat. The applicant will need to file minor soil moving permit if more than 5 cubic yards of soil is moved. You're gonna remove more than 5 cubic yards of soil?
Yes, just for the drywall.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Any members of the public have any questions of these witnesses on the testimony given this evening? I hear none and see none. There's nothing else you want to add? You don't want a sum, do you? You'll go based on,
I just have one, Chairman. If the existing impervious coverage is 55.6% of your lot, you're putting on addition, you're only gaining 2 percentage points of impervious coverage. All right. And what size addition are you putting on?
maybe there was something there before.
400 feet.
What was on the lot where you want to?
survey attached shows the patio.
You gotta use the microphone.
Must be attached.
So this is the backyard of where we plan to do the addition. Right now, there's paving stones about 19 feet by 20 feet.
So you're gonna eliminate those?
We could eliminate that and put a concrete slab in with
Okay.
the addition. That's what.
That's why it didn't change.
Okay, that's why. okay,
Make sense
Yeah,
there?
that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure.
But it's just subject to the engineer's letter, this resolution, okay?
Are there any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application, in support of this application?
Can you explain to me the
I hear none and see none. What do we need to do with a resolution here? Just subject to the
Subject to
engineer?
the engineer's letter and the requirements, which,
What's subject to
Bernie said,
DEP?
the DEP, you gotta get those approved.
Oh, yeah, and you have to, I guess, you have to check with the DEP, you're in a flood zone.
Okay.
So,
It's gonna make them put it up here.
they can put it up in the air? Oh, jeez. Well, you know what you have to do. You have to check with the
I
DEP.
think the rule is 2 feet.
Okay, do I have a resolution,
Sure.
This is street.
It's de minimis in nature. They're gonna agree to, all the requirements from engineering, so I'll be voting for it.
okay, someone frame a resolution?
Application 23:03, Vanessa Del Moro and Christian Stevens, 61 Norman Avenue, Block 557, Lot 12, Zone R4, recommend granting a C variance to construct a one-story addition and landing and stairs contrary to section 430-35, columns 5, 10, and 13, with an agreement to adhere to all the requirements from the engineering department.
Second.
Any, excuse me? Who just was talking?
Someone in the back.
Excuse me, you cannot talk from back there. If you have a comment to be made, you have to come up here and use a microphone.
Well, actually,
Yeah, and we're not,
you're done,
we already went through this,
The answer is yes.
Murphy.
But the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, because it's contained within the engineer's report.
I didn't hear him say DEP also.
'Cause
It's
part of the
contained within the
engineering.
engineer's
According to
report.
the engineer's report.
Yes.
That's what the
Yes.
chairman had, read about the DEP,
Okay.
and that's why we said that it's contingent upon the engineer's report and all the requirements of the engineer's report.
Thank you.
Laura, you want to call the roll?
Yes. Berkowitz.
Yes.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Kaplan.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Willand.
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes. Results variance is granted. We'll memorialize this at our next meeting, and then you can proceed.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's call case, 2260, Shaw. This, C variance to legalize a patio and 2 sheds. It's carried from March 22nd.
Now, both of you were sworn previously?
No, sorry, my husband is on emergency, the
Okay.
employee's not coming.
So,
I'm here.
who's gonna testify?
Me.
Okay.
He just,
Okay,
Yeah.
both raise your right hands. Do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give before the board is the true self you got?
yeah,
And for the record, can you state your name, ma'am?
Archana Shah,
How do you spell that?
Archana.
Shah, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and sir, your name?
I'm sorry, spell your name? Yes.
Shah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. You're both sworn. Have a seat and please speak into the microphone. Yeah, there's testimony. they were supposed to come, I thought they were supposed to bring like pictures and, other documents. It looks like from the,
There's a follow-up report from the
Yep.
engineer.
and they made a change. It looks like they took something out of the, backyard.
You want to bring us up to date on this application then?
Yeah, we just meet with the engineer and we talked to him and,
You have to speak a little bit louder, okay?
okay. Can he speak with me?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my dad consulted with the engineer.
Yes.
I believe his name was Mr. Paul, the township engineer. And then we consulted, and then according to you guys, it was 700 feet, right? That we needed the stormwater management. But we decided, instead of implementing the stormwater management, we decided to remove the 200 feet off the patio by the shed. So we would fall under the 500 patio restriction. We
have it
Impervious
here.
coverage?
Yeah,
yes, the
35 by 419.
so on March 28th, the patio was measured at 50 by 14, and which for a total was 700 square feet, and then we were gonna remove 500 and remove 200, which would remove more than 200 around approximately, which would result in 490, which would be left.
The plans that we have, your survey, that was the original plan, correct? It
Yes.
doesn't show the reductions you just described.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reductions are on this, I'm not sure if you.
So there's an existing and a proposed. On the existing, it flares out, the patio flares out in the back. There's like a block curve, a long line, and then if you look to the left, it flares out. On the proposed, that looks like it's removed. I don't see anything removed on the proposed.
We're going to remove.
Do you want to see this?
We're going to remove 200.
Yes.
So is two, so is two.
Yes,
This is the proposed.
there's a new zoning report and
And then this one is the, existing.
This is a proposed?
Yeah, it says it up top, existing, yep.
Yeah, I got it, proposed, okay, I got it now.
Yeah, yep.
So,
And everything is under by
I
engineer
don't have existing.
suggestion.
Right, the next page.
No, it is.
The one in front of that.
Is that first paragraph correct?
Existing proposed.
And what do you see is the difference?
No.
Okay, so the problem is that the first paragraph
Is
from
the
Paul Lehoff is not correct. Nora did not say that.
Yeah, that was,
No, you're saying yeah. Nora's saying she did not say that.
What do you see the difference between existing and proposed?
sorry by mistake.
I think the misunderstanding was that my father said that we don't need an engineer, rather than, instead of saying, what he meant to say that we needed the storm management under this, not, we needed, sorry, one second.
That's okay,
That's
relax,
okay.
it's all right.
I'm trying to gather my thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand your approach to this is stay away from storm management improvements and reduce the patio. And I am now looking at the two surveys, one showing proposed and one showing existing. And I cannot find any difference.
So to answer, I'll answer this question here, but to answer your question, I think the misunderstanding was that my, father was trying to say that we did not need an engineer, since we already had an engineer look at it, rather than not needing a stormwater. And then to answer your question, the proposed, if you look at the area towards the shed, that is removed, right, and on the previous one,
What's the piece of was in his neighbor's?
on the existing one,
I may jump in here. It took me a while to find it myself. It's the part on the upper north left-hand side, what used to be an encroachment, where it used to say block curb along line. There's a little bit of concrete patio there that's removed.
But that wouldn't even been covered under that's an encroachment
Correct.
that he has to deal with his neighbor, but it wouldn't have been in the calculation.
I think they're removing more patio than
Yeah.
what's on the proposed survey.
But it's not updated.
But, so it has to be updated.
Am I allowed to show, come up and show?
Yes.
So, the existing, this is the part that we're gonna remove, and this is the proposed one on this side, like around this area.
Okay, so these maps we don't have. These maps are not part of the application. This is what he's saying is the existing.
Well, we haven't existed.
No, that's the encroachment still, has been existing as the encroachment. You removed the encroachment already.
And you're removing this piece here?
Yes, we removed, this here.
Could you just explain what he's talking about, what he's removing, because I don't see it.
So we're gonna have to mark these as, A1 and A2.
He's taking out patio around his shed.
Okay.
He's already taken out the piece that he was
Yeah,
on his neighbor.
okay.
He's gonna eliminate a piece in here.
Both of those blocks?
So the top, concrete patio, he's gonna remove,
He did remove.
almost a third up from where the shed is around the shed.
Okay.
You have removed or going to remove?
We're going to.
We're going to.
So you wanted to see, pass this around?
Right.
So that eliminates any impervious coverage variance?
No.
No? Well, she doesn't have it on her sheet here.
No, there is no impervious coverage variance, because
Yeah.
it's a big piece of property. So
Oh,
you
right.
deal with the whole property.
Yeah.
Say that again, Bernie?
It's a big piece of property, so it's like 10,000 square feet, so there's no impervious coverage.
Right.
Question.
I don't know how much.
It's the size
So-
it's the size of the patio
Yeah.
that requires storm management.
Okay.
He's taking the patio and reducing it to under that size that requires storm drainage management.
Gotcha.
So now instead of at 550 or whatever, 700, instead of 700 square feet, now he's down to 490.
You still have the side yard.
You took the one shed, you removed the patio that was underneath the shed. So the shed is now on the ground.
Yes.
Is the other shed on the paver patio still?
Yeah.
How do you keep it from blowing away?
Yeah, there was, when we bought the house.
Is it anchored?
What is it, a wooden shed?
Yes, the patio, I believe it is anchored. The one on this side.
Like a brick?
Well, there's one on the other side. You have two patios. The one patio is concrete patio, you took away, or in the process of taking away some of the concrete. The other patio is a paver patio,
Yeah.
right? The paver patio has a shed on it.
Yes.
Is that shed anchored properly?
Uh,
It seems to me, a shed just sitting on paver patios is gonna blow away in a bad storm.
A big wooden shed? Is it a wooden shed or a plastic shed? What,
Plastic, sir, plastic.
keep enough
Yeah,
tools in there, it won't blow away.
Well, I don't know. That's what I was-
I believe the shed has been there since we bought the house and.
Both of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so,
The only change that we made to the backyard was the installment of the concrete.
so we're only looking at 4 variances. 2 accessory side yard, rear yard for the sheds. Yards and courts, open deck, shed, side yard. Yards and courts, shed, rear yard. That's it. There's no impervious coverage, there's no building coverage,
There's no stormwater management.
and no stormwater management. Any other questions by the board? Any members of the public have questions of these witnesses? Hearing none and seeing none. There's nothing else you'd like to add? Okay. Are there any members of the public speaking in opposition to this application? In support of this application? I hear none and see none. Someone like to make a comment as to why we should proceed, grant the variance? Please, someone?
I guess they, got rid of enough to get rid of our biggest concern, which was the stormwater. So what's left is de minimis, so I'll be voting for it.
Somebody frame a resolution? Hello?
Application number 2260, Dharmesh Kumar Shaw, 165 Everett Road, Block 238, Lot 2, in the R4 zone. I recommend that the board grant the C variance to legalize the patio and 2 sheds contrary to section 430-35, columns 8 and 9, section 430-10C. And that's it.
Is there a second?
Jaskowitz.
Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Kaplan.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Willing.
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes. Result is the variance is granted. We'll memorialize this at our next meeting, okay? Good luck. Okay, application 2279 for Parsippany Islamic Center Incorporated. C variance to legalize a portico contract to, blah, blah, blah.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you.
Good evening. Good evening.
My name is Stephen Shepis. I'm the applicant's attorney. May I be seated?
Haven't seen you in a while.
Yes, on the Zoom, but that doesn't count. Well, as you stated, I represent the Parsippany Islamic Center. They purchased this house. It was an online sale. And, unfortunately, there was an undisclosed zoning violation. The prior owners, prior to their losing the house in a foreclosure, basically built a new house with permits and a variance from this board back in 2014. The house, when it was purchased by my client, is as it is today, at least as far as the exterior. Attached to the application is a picture of the portico that's the subject of this matter. When the board granted the variance relief, the portico was not shown on the plan. So eventually, when my client went and renovated the structure, there was a lot of damage, a lot of water damage. Went to get the permanent CO. It turned out that the portico was never included on the approved plans. It represented about 82 square feet of additional building coverage. It was already impervious coverage. It was a concrete patio entrance to the house. So in order to show you a little bit more, I'm going to ask my client to be sworn, and then a little exhibit for you, and then we can address
Sir, if you could raise your right hand, do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is the true self you got?
I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
My first name T.A.J. Taj, last name Coker, K-H-O-K-H-A-R.
Very good. Mr. Kokar, just for the record, could you tell the board and the public your relationship to the applicant entity?
I am a chief financial officer on this entity.
Okay, and you have authority of the property owner to be here and represent them?
Yes, I do.
Okay, very good. Now, I gave the board a brief history of your acquisition of this property. Could you just let us know a little bit more detail how it was you came into this ownership, and how it was disclosed to you about the portico not being approved?
When, Mr. Shepherd said, we bought online this house, not knowingly what's going on, and we don't have luxury to go investigate this, what need to be done. Upon purchasing, we realized that we need to obtain the CO, and I was told that certain violation need to be taken care, which you took care, and then come to knowledge that this is also a violation, that we don't have enough permit for that portico. I was told, I got clear everything from the town, all the construction, all the permit has been taken care of, all the maintenance has been taken care of, except this thing, and I was advised I had to go and ask this permission from the board.
Okay, now, despite the fact that the entity owns this, it's used as a single-family dwelling, correct?
It is a single-family home for the Imam residence, who is part of the Parsippany Islamic Center, Beverly Road, Parsippany.
Okay, so there's no services or anything like that going on?
No, it's the house.
Okay, now, Mr. Kokar, I have a series of 8 photographs of the house, together with a copy of the survey that you provided me. I know you've had an opportunity to look at them. Can you tell us whether the photographs fairly and accurately reflect the condition of the house?
That's what is the current position right now.
Okay. I'd like to hand this up as A1 for everybody to take a look at, and some brief follow-up testimony that should be done.
That's why we... That's why
So this is a residential zone. We have a residence, right?
Correct.
It just so happens that it's owned by somebody other than the people that are gonna be occupying it.
It's owned by the religious entity. I would analogize it to like a
real estate trust?
Like-
Like a parish?
a parish house,
Yeah, like
like where the priest would live.
Yeah.
Which we have one coming.
So the issue is, and Taj, correct me if I'm wrong, is that portico represents building coverage that was not calculated when the board originally approved this.
Correct, that's what I was told.
And I believe it comes in at 0.27%, and I believe the calculation from the zoning officer was 83.25 square feet.
I'm sorry, applications like this make my hair.
I know,
hurt.
you know,
We have
I
to
often-
actually be here.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because that's
Point
exactly
two
what I
seven,
said.
give me a break.
You know, look, I'll just make a brief argument for you. I would say that you could grant the relief either as a C1 hardship based on the existing improvements, and that this represents a de minimis exacerbation of what the board previously approved. Also, from a C2 standpoint, it does represent an enhanced aesthetic appearance. I mean, otherwise it would just be a flat entrance. And there's also a safety benefit. I mean, when people come home, they don't have to be standing in the rain and the snow when they get through the front door. So I think there's purposes of the MLUL that can serve as a basis for the positive criteria. And as Mr. Chadwick appropriately pointed out in his report, the deviation is de minimis. I would say it's imperceivable. So I don't think anybody's going to drive by and be appalled over the fact that there's this portico over the front entrance. Mr. Chadwick did raise the issue about whether the portico met the front yard setback requirement. We did have a survey we submitted, although the surveyor did not note the setback, so I did scale it. I don't know whether it's practicing engineering without a license to have a scale.
Why
in my
don't we
office.
just put it in the resolution?
Certainly, we can
It's
certainly.
pre-existing,
Yeah.
because it's built, right?
Yes, yeah, but I did confirm based on what I had, and I believe the zoning officer would have picked up on it anyway if it was an issue. So we're comfortable
Yeah,
that,
I'm just trying to make sure you don't come back for another
I
one.
appreciate that, no, once is enough. Not
do you-
that I don't like
Do
coming.
you plan on finishing the stonework that's on the right-hand side of the building?
It's been taken care of, sir,
Okay.
everything, we
Because
satisfied
I've
all,
driven, I don't know when this house was built, but it's gotta be more than 10
no,
years.
we have satisfied all the, building, requirement what they asked me.
It was like, they reached the point, I think they just ran out of stone, and they,
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't make the stone anymore, so we have to get from Pennsylvania.
oh, okay, okay.
Oh, it is stone?
Yeah, it's stone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not the stick-on stone?
No, this is real stone.
The right-hand side real stone, yeah.
Yeah,
We're missing that.
Oh,
yeah. It just caught my eye as I drove by, and I always wondered, like, did he run out of money? Did he run out of stone?
Probably both at the same time.
Yep, yep.
This was a foreclosure, huh?
Yes, it was. It
Oh,
was,
wow.
As you can see, the deed is on the application. They purchased it online from Deutsche Bank.
Okay. Any other questions by the board?
No.
Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given this evening? I hear none and see none. You've done your summation, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application? In support of this application? I hear none and see none. De minimis request or what?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Somebody do a resolution?
Application number 2279 Parsippany Islamic Center, Inc., at 1070 South Beverwick Road, Block 757, Lot 48.02 in the R2 zone. I recommend that the board grant the C variance to legalize the portico contrary to section section 10I and section 430-35, column 10.
Second, Jaskowitz.
Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Kaplan.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Willing.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes, results of variance is granted.
Thank you.
We will
Thank you very
memorialize
much.
this at our next meeting, and then you'll be free. Well, you're not gonna do anything, you already had it done, so.
Well, they still have to get a CO.
Thank you very much.
Nice meeting you. Good seeing you.
Did you get that other application, Mom?
We've got one.
They brought you back?
I'm sorry.
In Montville, they brought you back?
Yeah, it's gonna be going on.
Uh,
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, and that brings us to the last case of the evening. Application 22:76, Corigliano, preliminary major site plan with D variance, add a permanent structure and additional parking to a previously approved towing facility.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Joseph O'Neill here on behalf of the applicant, Corigliano Towing. This is an amendment of a previous approval for a towing facility at this site. What we are seeking to do is to add an additional building for the indoor storage of equipment and clean up the site a little bit. Just a little backstory on this while we're setting up. Corigliano Towing is currently contracted with at least 5 municipalities, including Parsippany, as well as the state police, to provide towing services on all the major highways in the immediate area and for quite a distance beyond. Part of this includes what was approved in the last application, which is a storage area for vehicles temporarily while they're processed. There's no auto repair on site. There's no maintenance of vehicles on site. It's just storage. When they take them off the road, then they're disposed of in the appropriate ways. And the storage also is of his equipment that's utilized in both removing cars from accidents as well as cleanup of various spills and such. All that equipment is going to be stored on site, including supplies related to spills. I'm told there was recently a cooking oil spill. Someone had lifted some cooking oil out of some restaurants, was on their way to New York to sell it for some kind of green fuel or whatever it was. But that box truck capsized, all the fuel was on the road, so Corigliano Towing came out and cleaned that up. All that equipment is on this site, and we're proposing putting it in this new building that Mr. Corsen's getting ready to describe for you. Operations on site, as they were approved before, are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But there are no personnel really on site outside of between, say, 8 a.m. to 6 during the course of the day. Everything's handled remotely, and people are dispatched remotely from their locations. If they need to pick up the equipment, they come on the site and pick it up. That's really the extent of the activity. The one potential change in what was done before is they used to arrange when someone would have an accident, they'd normally drop them at a diner where they would get picked up by family or friends or a cab or whatever. Because there really are no more 24-hour diners since COVID, upon occasion, they will be at this location to be picked up.
And isn't that a requirement of the tow contract?
It is indeed, yes it is. It is indeed. This is strictly regulated by the police department. The police department does inspections all the time on this, as do the state police. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Corsen, who's going to describe for you what it is we're proposing.
Sir, raise your right hand. You swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is yourself you got?
I did.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
Peter Korzen, spelled Korzen.
And your engineer?
Professional engineer and land surveyor. Both licenses are in good standing.
And you've testified either before this board or other boards and have been qualified in the state of New Jersey?
I have.
Right, Mr. Chairman, he is sworn and qualified.
Okay. So, Mr. Corsen, if you could walk us through it, please.
Okay, this is the sheet 2 of 2 in your set. It's the existing conditions plan. On the left-hand side, you can see the site here. It's located on the north side of Intervale Road. It is located in the R3 zone district. Immediately to the east is an asphalt area, which is part of the commercial truck dealership. That strip of land is also located in the R3 zone. To the west is a residential lot in the R3 zone, and the lot to the north is a parking lot, which is also part of the commercial truck dealership, and that happens to be in the OS zone.
Is that ever used by this property? Because I know there's a gate back there. I was just curious.
Now, I know that was one of your comments. There is a lock on the gate that is no longer part of this property, that was sold off, so all of this is owned by another entity. And the lot itself is 20,500 square feet. So you could see that there is a one-story building located approximately in the center of the lot. There is an asphalt driveway on the west side that leads up to the front of the building. There's also a stone driveway on the east side of the site, which leads back to an asphalt parking lot in the back. The parking lot in the back contains a number of structures and vehicles. There are 2 fabric structures, 1 sea container, 2 trailers on wheels which are angled, and a recovery storage trailer on the east side. Topography is very gradual. There is a slope from the southwest to the northeast. In addition, as far as drainage goes, there's an existing dry well, which is located at the low point at the northeast corner of the site. And you can see on your copy of your survey, you can see the grate for that right there.
So that doesn't connect to anything, it's just the dry well for the lot.
For the parking lot, it's a standalone dry well, correct. So the next sheet I'll bring up is sheet 1 of 2. This is the amended site plan for use variance, also in your packet. On the left-hand side again is the background information screen for the survey, and in bold are the proposed improvements. They include an accessory building, which is 30 feet by 50 feet, and that houses 3 tow trucks and 1 skid steer. Outside of the building is a flatbed tow truck. The 2 trailer on wheels will be rotated so that they avoid or comply with the rear yard setback for parking. In addition to that are 2 employee vehicles in the back, 2 impound accident vehicles in the back, 1 employee vehicle parked in the garage, and 2 visitor vehicles parked in front of the building. There is also a proposed stormwater management drainage system in front of the building, and that consists of a trench drain in front of the garage, which conveys runoff to a underground plastic Cultec recharger system. The purpose of that is because the applicant has experienced ponding in front of the garage, so that's the sole purpose of addressing
Was that initiated to be filtered for the, not contaminating the underground system?
Well, there's no contamination, there's no repairs being done on the site at all. The driveway is just for vehicles, primarily visitors coming down. This is really the main driveway that's used to access the back parking lot. So that westerly driveway is mainly for the vehicles that are, the visitor vehicles that are parking in front of the building. So there's no contamination.
Is there a way to clean it out from debris?
Well, we can offer, I mean, we do have a clean out, which is at the angle right
Yeah,
there.
for the Cultec, the units themselves.
Yeah, they do have, I should check my detail, but there should be clean outs shown on top of those.
Okay, as long
Yeah.
as there's clean out.
Yeah, we can amend that if there's nothing shown on the detail, absolutely.
Was this initiated by the applicant because of the ponding, or was this stormwater management because of this, expansion?
Or by the applicant, just.
Or both, right.
Well, I mean, it could be viewed as both, but I know it was a problem with the applicant where he did have ponding in front of the garage because it does slope down from the road. so-
Okay.
Yeah, the applicant during COVID had to undertake repairs to the yard when township, no one was open here at the township.
Right,
So he did the repairs, adding that dry well that you see in the back.
okay,
They replaced the impervious crushed stone with impervious blacktop to control what was a ponding problem in the back, and that solved the problem right away. So there's no more ponding
great.
in the back. So this is part of that continuum.
The blacktop is pervious, you said?
Impervious.
Oh, impervious.
Yeah. So, yeah, sort of.
Yeah, I actually forgot to mention that it was stone in the back, highly compacted, used
Crushed.
over, crushed, yes, used over many years. So that was replaced with asphalt, and at the same time, the drywall system was.
The shrubbery along the west side of that property, is that this applicant's, or is it the neighbors, or both?
It's this applicant's, it's part of the 2011 site plan that was approved. and
Okay, it's staying.
It's staying, absolutely no change.
You doing any lighting?
No, all lighting that's on the building right now is exactly as proposed in 2011, just wall-mounted fixtures, and that's
Yes.
not changing.
No new lights.
So on the right side is the zoning data table, and you can see the various criteria required, existing, and proposed. There are 3 variances listed. One of them is for building coverage, and what's proposed is 16.25%. And that actually has been reduced from the existing conditions under the survey. And the reason is the fabric structures are being removed and being replaced by the accessory structure. So that does drop down to 16.25%. However, that does exceed the maximum permitted of 15%, so a variance is required for that. The second variance is for the number of parked commercial vehicles, and we have proposed 10, which includes the tow trucks, the trailers, 3 trailers, and the impound accident vehicles. That's the second variance. The third variance has to do with the height of the accessory structure. I had that listed as 20 feet, but that's actually an error because I took that to the ridge point of the roof, and it should be the midpoint. So that variance is 17.2 feet instead of 20 feet. Moving to the left of that chart, you can see the parking requirements table. There are, based on the office use of 1 space per 300 square feet, there are 5 spaces required, and we are proposing 5 spaces. We have 3 employee spaces, 1 in the garage, 2 in the back, and 2 visitor spaces in front of the building.
What kind of doors would be on the accessory structure?
It'll just be a front door that's just a sliding door, a large sliding door. So
It's gonna be really tight for the employees to get back there.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
It looks really tight.
yeah, I mean, keep in mind that this flatbed truck is movable right here. I mean, it could be a little tight, but I would imagine that since it's employee vehicles in town accident, they can even back it in if they want.
Is there any bollards considered?
No bollards proposed. We do have a minimum clearance to the building at the build code door at this point of 3 feet, so you can walk by it.
Have you talked to the fire department about that?
I believe the fire department reviewed this, and they had...
Yeah, the fire department had no comment on that. The only comment was concerning placement of the dumpster, which I believe we're all right with.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Keeping the access open.
I mean,
That's the only other thing they said, keeping the access
the
open.
situation is when the employees come to pick up the trucks, they're gonna drop their cars and take the trucks. So there's gonna be more space when they're on the road, I would think. The only reason you have employee spaces is when they come to the site, right?
Right.
They took the truck, they don't take the trucks home.
No, they don't.
Just like to comment, the existing variance allows you to have 11 vehicles, correct?
Correct.
And your client's reducing it to 10?
We're moving things inside for storage, yeah.
That's
That
not
was-
what I said. Currently, your resolution allows you to have 11 commercial vehicles there.
Correct.
And it was just described that you're going to have 10.
Correct.
Are you going to maintain 11, or do you want to have 10?
We want to go with what we have proposed here, the 10.
10.
Just 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then staying on that same chart in the center, you can see that there is a variance, and that has to do with parking on the east side of the site relative to that recovery trailer that's parked right on the property line, so it's 0 feet where 5 feet is required.
Is it actually slightly encroaching? or-
It's actually encroaching, yeah, it's kind of an odd lot. It's, there's a 7-foot-high masonry wall that's been there for a very long time. It's paved right up to that wall, and the applicant has had use of that, and probably the prior owner. So he is utilizing that space. It's all considered part of that back parking lot, so it actually encroaches over the property line slightly.
Is that visible from Intervale Road?
No, because he does have screening on the gate in the front, and it's a 7-foot-high wall, so both directions, and the building itself blocks it from the other direction. So that really concludes my direct presentation. I'm open for questions, or I can go through.
Are you gonna talk about the landscaping?
Landscaping is remaining. There's substantial arborvitae on the west side, very substantial, very high, proposed as part of the last application. So that's not.
So nothing additional in the front along Intervale?
Very limited area in front of the building. We do have an entrance into the building. We have a garage. I mean, there's existing shrubs there right now, but it's kind of restricted.
Just standing on Intervale, it's gonna look pretty residential. You're not gonna see behind that fence. You see all
Right,
the
exactly,
fence.
exactly.
And the height of that new building, it's gonna be taller than the existing structure there?
That's a good question. Not sure if that's shown.
We try and ask good questions here.
Yeah. Principal building height. Don't have it, we didn't measure that. I really can't answer it, to be honest with you.
It's directly behind the existing home, though.
It is, and one thing I could say is these arborvitae, if you've driven by the site, are very large. I wouldn't be surprised if they will, from that direction anyway.
From that direction,
block the building.
My goal here is to preserve the residential look because that is in a residential neighborhood. So if that structure is significantly taller, or at least tall enough that it's now looming over that structure that's currently there, that's going to be an issue. So I really am going to need the height on that.
We need the height of the house, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, the height of the proposed building you have is just the height of the house that you don't have. That wasn't surveyed.
So how much, so you don't know if it's taller?
One-story house, I'd say it's very close.
Well, what's the height of the new building?
20 foot to the peak, 17.2 per your regulations.
It's a hip roof design.
Pardon?
Not a flat roof, it's a hip roof
It's a
design.
gable roof.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just to remind you, Mr. Corson, it is a one-story building with a gable roof. So this building will probably be a little taller than that. It is, of course, complying, but not sure what the height of a one-story building with a gable roof works out to be in comparison to what we're talking about for this project.
Yeah, it depends on the slope of the roof and width of the house. But, unfortunately, I don't have that measure.
I remind you that what we agree with the comment about the residential neighbors, some of the surrounding properties, we're concentrating our screening efforts towards those residential neighbors. The truck dealership immediately adjacent, we're not really worrying about that.
I appreciate that.
So, Mr.
It's really a
Corson,
mixed use along that road there too, isn't it? There's other industrial or commercial properties on that
all
same
commercial
stage.
up that, up
Up
the street.
towards
It's all
Mount,
commercial.
I guess that's towards Mountain Lakes going
Towards
north.
46.
Come
but
back towards
towards-
Parsippany, get into the residential.
There's a church or something right next to it, and it's all residential down the
Yeah.
street.
Right.
Did you have any questions or comments regarding the engineering review comments?
Along those lines, Mr. Corson, I want to remind you on page 2, under the engineer's comments, there was testimony, I guess this is from the prior application, about commercial vehicles having no backup noise signal being used. That is, of course, a OSHA requirement,
Yeah, I was very curious about that. That's just,
so we kind of have to do that. It's gonna beep when you put it in reverse.
so
There's
if
nothing we can do.
a survey could be produced, a copy of it, it could be the older one, it doesn't have to be that current. But written response to the comments would be something that would be part of the resolution.
Sure, absolutely. So I just want to add, going through these comments, do you have any remaining issues that you,
No, everything's here.
everything's been satisfactory?
Yeah, I don't have the vehicle movement circulation chart. That's again, that goes back to, that looks tight to get a car in there.
Yeah, as was mentioned, I mean, the truck will be moved out during the day. And like I said, these are employee vehicles. They can even be moved over this way.
That's what I was-
We do have 5 vehicles. So, it would make it easier to fit that in.
It's gotta be your property, and you can move it to here.
Open for any other questions?
No new lighting in the front.
No new lighting, signs, and remains.
No lighting on the new building?
Have you done any soil testing?
Soil testing?
For the dry well?
No, no.
And the dry well on the back works well?
It does work well, yeah, that, he hasn't experienced any potting, he had that problem previously.
Would everyone speak up a little, not picking up on the
The
recording?
dry well in the back does,
Should be on.
yeah, the dry well in the back does function. He did have a ponding problem, as you heard previously, and that has been solved with the dry well.
I have no further questions for this witness.
Are any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given this evening? Hearing none, seeing none. Got another witness?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Castellano.
Sir, if you raise your right hand, you swear affirm testimony about to give before the board, true self you got.
I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name?
Yes, I'm Michael J. Pessolano, that's spelled Pessolano, licensed professional planner, state of New Jersey, licensed still in good standing. You've graciously accepted me before as an expert witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The witness is sworn and qualified.
Thank you.
Mr. Castellano, you are familiar with the application before the board here this evening?
I am.
You've had an opportunity to examine the master plan and local ordinances.
I did.
Could you please compare those documents to this application and give us your findings?
Yes, I also took a look at the resolution of approval back in 2012 from the original use variance issued for this use to be here today. So with that, I have an exhibit that will help the board understand the setting for the project. Let me distribute that, and please tell me what I should mark it, number-wise.
We're going to mark that as A1 for
A1?
this evening, Mike? Why don't we get some help first? This guy.
So while I say that, I have a quick question. You have one neighbor, one residential neighbor to the left of you.
That's correct.
Thank you. Are they here?
I believe not.
Okay. Have you had an ongoing positive relationship with that neighbor?
My client has a very positive relationship with that neighbor and helps that neighbor maintain the property as they maintain the front of this yard.
Gotcha.
For that consistency between the residential uses.
Wonderful.
Is there a business conducted on that property? The neighbor?
Business of a neighbor conducting business? Not to the applicant's knowledge. Really? We don't think so. We don't know.
You've already committed, the house is gonna look just the way it does.
Absolutely.
Okay, without further ado, we have a single tax lot here in this application currently operating as Carigliano Towing, which was, as I mentioned, approved by use variance in 2012. This is the last lot in the residential enclave, and the lot itself is wrapped by a large-scale truck center adjacent to the east and to the north. The plan here is simply reconfiguration of the tow yard to add the accessory building and parking so as to enclose equipment and preserve its use and make for a more efficient operation of the site. And that's important and a public concern because the public relies on quick response time of this particular land use each and every time. So with Exhibit A1 in front of you, let me take you through the 6 pages of that exhibit prepared in collaboration with John McDonough, professional planner, landscape architect, in his offices. Sheet 1 of A1 is a drone view taken this week to show the subject property in the center. You can see the roof of the existing building that is used for the office in connection with the towing use, and of course the stored vehicles behind that. In front of the site, the takeaway for me is a generous and deep front yard with a deep setback for the existing principal building on the property. What's also visible is the dimension vertically of the giant arborvitae that are growing along the western property line very nicely, very healthily. I examined them up close, not even any nibbles from deer. These plants are tremendous specimens by my estimation and are doing their intended job of completely screening the storage yard and would also serve that same function with the proposed accessory building, replacing several of the temporary structures. Going on to sheet 2 of A1, we have the drone rotating around looking from the north southerly, and we can see the nature of the vehicles stored and that same arborvitae screen and the other fencing along the other two boundaries. On to sheet 3, the drone is looking southwesterly here, and we get a much better view of the green arborvitae fencing. There's also a black slatted fence as backup screen for that side of the property, giving the residential neighbor really nice protection and screening, far better than I have ever observed for a tow yard operation in my 40-plus years as a planner. This is a nice, neat, tight operation, and I commend the owner for keeping it that way. Moving on to sheet 4 is a easterly looking view. Again, the arborvitae's taking the stage here, doing their job, screening very well, as you can imagine, from the ground level of that rear yard. These buildings pretty well screened, better than even residential buildings might be screened from each other. On sheet 5 of A1, a top-down look, bird's eye aerial view of the subject property, showing actually a similar pattern of the storage compound behind each of the principal structures, the subject property at 30 and the dwelling to the west that was discussed before. You can also see the extent of the truck repair facility, and I'll bring that back into the discussion in a minute, but that is plainly visible as a much larger use that wraps around the subject property on two sides and has done so for years. The final picture on sheet 6 shows the residential-looking ranch-style building in the rear with my handsome car in the foreground. The silver car there is where I park to do my site reconnaissance. Off to the right, you can see the solid fence that screens any public view into the storage yard from Intervale Road very, very well. So that provides a setting for my planning analysis, and Mr. Corzine identified the specific relief. This is an unusual type of thing that I don't think many boards get to deal with. A use granted by a D1 use variance does not become anything but a use variance granted use. And to change it, to modify it, to expand it, requires another D1 use variance. So there's that technical part of it. But the practical reality is this is there to stay. As you know, use variances run with the land, so no matter what we do today or tomorrow, or don't do anything, that use is there. So any tweaking of an existing use like that, you would expect it to be presenting improvements. And that's the essence of a D2 analysis, where you have an expansion of a non-conforming use. So if we have something that's technically one thing, but behaving like another. At the end of the day, my analysis found that it meets the criteria for the grant of a D1 use variance. Specifically, all of the demonstration of particular suitability and special reasons and the negative criteria remain as presented in the 2012 resolution of the prior board approving this use here in the first place. Nothing has changed. The interesting part of this, though, is that the site will actually perform certain of its functions better with the proposed improvements. Fast response is essential to avoiding additional losses, especially additional accidents due to backups awaiting clearing, but also reduced time of congestion on the highways and air pollution related to that idling effect. So the more this use can be streamlined and made more efficient, everybody wins, because the public is better served by more responsive response time. The new accessory building will also serve as a better sound buffer for the residential property to the west in particular. Right now, we have lower and fabric style types of structures. This solid building will be a formidable barrier to sound coming not just from the subject property from that rear storage yard area, but also from the truck repair facility farther to the east. So the neighbor to the west, I think, really wins with this. It's not only, the building, proposed building is not only pretty much hard to detect by virtue of the existing vegetation, which is somewhere, by my estimation, around 17 or 18 feet tall today. So it's a nice buffer and barrier, and the building will add to that buffering even more. These improvements all enhance the special reasons that were reckoned and accepted by the board in the 2012 approval, specifically purposes A, G, H, I, and M of the municipal land use law. I can visit with them if you like. I think you know what they are. The project will also maintain the residential appearance in the front, which integrates with the homes in the area. Negative criteria is not changed, except that the sound buffering is actually improved, so any concept of that being a negative impact is dealt with in that manner. The enhanced quality of proof is addressed here. The use variance that runs with the land eliminates effectively any need for the governing body to do anything different. In other words, to rezone the property. The use variance is assigned to the land. Therefore, the use variance relief can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good or impairment to the zone plan. There's no impacts of a substantially adverse nature that I can detect. There are three minor elements of C relief, type C relief, dimensional bulk relief, as Mr. Corson pointed out. The building coverage, I believe that that's a de minimis condition, just barely cracking over the 15% limitation. Again, we have a non-permitted use that's not contemplated here. The 15% is anticipated for regulating dwellings. This is not necessarily that anymore. It's a commercially used property, so that type of regulation is said to be subsumed within the context of a D1 variance. The height of the accessory structure is proposed at 17.2 feet at the midpoint between the eaves and the gable and the peak. Excuse me. The height limit is 15 feet. Mr. Kaplan asked about the height, very good question, of the proposed accessory building. And it's hard for me to make a conclusion. I did not measure the height of the existing structure either, but I have to opine that because both the principal structure and the proposed accessory structure farther from Intervale Road than the deep setback of the existing building has the effect of diminishing the perception of height significantly. The more you go back, the more the object reduces. Please.
The height of an accessory structure, I'm not sure, I don't have the ordinance with me. I don't know if the height of an accessory structure is measured to the middle of the roof.
It is not.
I think it's a total height. We're
It
talking
is.
accessory structure, which is the main
But
building.
I agree with the statements of the witness. When you're driving by on Intervale in a car, looking about 75 feet back to the house, the building is gonna, at most, if you'll see a little tip of the roof.
And don't you also think that the building that's to the right is gonna block it as well? If you're driving,
Oh, yeah.
by the time you realize there's something there, you're past it.
That's a big yard, too.
Well,
Right.
That's a couple hundred feet off the road.
Well, you got that big concrete wall that
Right.
runs the whole length of that, so.
Okay, well, thank you for the clarification, both of you, about the height of the accessory structure issue. Therefore, we need a slightly larger deviation from that, but all for the merit that applies to the benefits of this application as a whole: service to the public, responsive time, service to the police function of the community, and general public safety and well-being, all in the mix here. So I think that the minor nature of this relief is slight compared to the magnitude of the benefit. So with that, I believe that all of the bulk relief is provable pursuant to the C2 benefits outweighing the detriments analysis. This is a specific piece of property by virtue of its description you heard and its nature. So with that, I will suggest to you respectfully that approval is warranted based on these facts.
Thank you. I have no further questions for this witness.
Questions from the witness? Anybody? Nobody?
It's just one question. The aerial picture shown doesn't have the trailer that's, there on the survey with the encroachment along the fence. Was it out that day?
That photo was taken Tuesday, the 16th.
Right, so no,
If that was in service that day, maybe that's the reason. I don't know. I was not there when the drone photos were taken.
I can, give me a moment, I'll try to get some clarification as to that.
Yeah, I was just curious, 'cause it wasn't shown on the aerial.
You want a 2-minute break?
Yeah, if I could, just to pull that up. Thank you.
Or you want to consult?
Yeah,
with
I'm
Mike?
consult my client.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
2-minute. Be back on the record?
Thank you for that. I've had an opportunity to confer with my client, and what happened to the trailer is the neighboring truck facility accidentally backed the truck into the wall, knocked the wall into the truck, and it is now at the body shop getting repaired.
Well, definitely also was an entertaining answer.
It was not what I expected. But that's
why it's not there.
Okay, yeah, it's not, it will be back. Everything will be repaired appropriately.
Anything else by the board?
Nope.
Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given? Hearing none, seeing none. You got any more witnesses?
I have no further witnesses. Will reserve my comments until after the public has opportunity.
Okay, I really don't think the three guys in the back are here for this application, but I will say, is there any member of the public who wishes to speak in opposition to this application, in support of this application? I hear none and see none.
I will therefore
Make it
rely
brief.
on the testimony as provided. Hope the board approves this application as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a need to go into conference?
Nope.
Shouldn't be.
You may want to clarify make sure that the height of the accessory structure is 20 feet versus 17.
We will leave it the way it is on the plans.
Okay.
Regardless of Mr. Corson's
Great.
testimony, we will also add the height of the existing building.
Great.
To clear that up, so we don't have to do this again in the future.
Thank you.
Someone frame a resolution?
I think it's a good application. You're just adding a structure to an existing business. It seems to be hidden well, good relationship with neighbors, and no dissenting opinions out in the audience, so I'll be voting for it.
Someone frame a resolution?
Application 22:76, Corigliano, 30 Intervale Road, Block 448, Lot 15, Zone R3. Recommend preliminary major site plan granting a fee variance and a permanent structure and additional parking to a previously approved towing facility.
Any discussion or call the roll?
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Kaplan.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Willens.
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes. Result is the variance is granted.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll realize this in the next meeting. Any other business, Nora?
Nope.
Everybody knows they have to be at the Parsippany Hills High School on
July 19th.
July 19th.
We're not having any meetings between now and then?
Well, I just want everybody to put that on their calendar, so we don't. Scott, people are nuts. They're nuts. They're nuts.
Just need a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I'm sorry.
What are those shirts?
Yeah.
I wish they could.
Some of the comments.
And then the continuance is gonna be 2 years later.
Yeah, trees are gone.
Take care.
That's
It's nice seeing you guys.
Yeah, first name Steve.
I love these things.
There's something wrong with the
My Wi-Fi.
And